Welcome to Mind Over Matter, where we feature young Jamaicans who are shooting for the stars. I'm your host, Margaret Boyne. My guest is only 21 years old. She has represented Jamaica as a swimmer, a triathlete, and a cyclist. She recently made history as the first Jamaican cyclist to sign with a European team. She was also the first junior triathlete to represent Jamaica. She has won several awards in swimming and the triathlon over the years. She's a recipient of the Athlete of the Year award in 2016, 17, 18, and 19. She's also the recipient of the Prime Minister Youth Awards in the sports category in 2017. She shares her journey of resilience and determination. My guest is Llori Sharpe. Welcome to Mind Over Matter, Llori, and it's a pleasure having you.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure being here.
You made history as the first Jamaican, and let me emphasize that Jamaican, not female cyclist, to sign with a European team, a German cycling team. How did you feel when you were given that news?
It was pretty shocking, to be very honest, because I wasn't really expecting much out of my application, to be very honest. Because they had like an application period from I think July to August or thereabouts. So I submitted it, hope for the best. Really wasn't expecting like a positive outcome, so to say. But then I got an email saying I made it to the second round or something like that. And then I got another email where they wanted to set up a whole Zoom meeting. I wouldn't say it was much of an interview, but it was more of the team coordinator just confirming that I actually made the team. So that was very exciting, and I still can't believe it. I'm just looking forward to what's to come this year.
You're known here in Jamaica as a triathlete.
Yeah.
How did you make that transition into cycling?
Okay, so the transition really came about mainly because of the injury that I had in 2019. I suffered from something commonly called runner's knee. So I couldn't run. That's the first thing. And then combining that with the onset of the pandemic and pools being closed and all that, that really inhibited my training. And even though I could probably swim in the sea, there's only so much that I really can do. And so cycling was still there. Cycling was something I was always able to do. Mm-hmm. And I think from that, my passion and love for cycling only grew. And that really fueled the whole transition from triathlon to cycling.
But first, let's talk a little about the triathlon. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of us, me, we only know about the 100 and the 200 and that kind of race. So what is a triathlon? Tell us a little about that.
Right. So triathlon is a multidisciplinary sport. It consists of swimming, cycling, and running. So usually
in that order?
Yeah, usually, but sometimes you can mix it up. Yeah. So you have from the shortest distances to as long as shortest distances, which may take up maybe less than an hour, up to the Ironman distances, which could take 8+ hours, just really long time. So yeah, I think it was a pretty fun sport. It is a pretty fun sport, and I'm really glad that from the time that I was in it, we saw some sort of growth in it, and I think that even more growth can be attained. Even now, yeah.
Okay, so it's an endurance race.
Yeah, that's right.
So really and truly, then you are the real athlete, because you're doing three sports in one.
Yeah.
Right. So persons might think about the physical aspect of the race. Tell me a little about the mental. How do you prepare for that kind of race?
Yeah, so just as we place a lot of emphasis and importance on the physical aspect of sport, the mental aspect is also extremely important. You really can't downplay the contribution of it to your whole performance. I think, especially in Jamaica, we're now seeing the importance of the whole mental or the psychological aspect of sport. We still have a good way to go to like fully recognize the importance, but I think some progress has been made. And as I said, you really can't underestimate it, because especially with an endurance sport, I mean, you can have all the physical conditioning you need, but like when like the time kicks in and maybe like you're feeling some sort of pain, I think the mental aspect kicks in there just to keep it going. So you really need it.
So what part of the triathlon was your strongest?
I think it started out with swimming because I had a swimming background. But if I'm gonna tell you, if I'm gonna be very honest, I really started disliking swimming. And then I think the running became my strongest. And I think it was the strongest for my time for the remaining time I was in there, even though I still made like some great improvements in the cycling. But for the time I was there, probably the running for sure.
Okay. Yeah. So when did you start competing in sports? Like, you know, when did you have this love?
Right. So I began like competitive sport maybe when I was about 6 or 7, even though I was always an active child, because I started swimming lessons when I was like 8 months old, and my mother would take me to UTech to a swimming instructor in my diapers and just there. Yeah, but then I remember in kindergarten I did ballet, and then I lost the shoes, and my mother would buy a new pair of shoes because they're pretty expensive.
The mother like me.
So then I started karate, but then I switched to track and field, and there was a little bit more. I think I liked that a bit more than karate, so I stayed with that, and then I started swimming. So while I was at Vaz Prep, I did swimming and track and field mostly. But then when I reached high school now, like say under high school for girls, I dropped the track and field completely and just focused on swimming. And I did that up until I want to say 2015 or 16 thereabout. And then I picked up track and field again. And then I started triathlon, I think like 2016. And then it's been no turning back since.
Okay. You were also the first junior triathlete to represent Jamaica. Tell us about that experience.
I think it was pretty novel, as you could imagine. But luckily, I had a good support system around me, whether it was like my parents or other family members, friends, and my fellow triathletes. So there was always that nice environment just to provide that level of encouragement. And just to keep me, even though I somewhat self-motivated, it's always good to have those people around you just to keep encouraging and keep pushing you.
So you have won several sports awards. Can you tell us some of the awards that you have won?
Yes. So I have received the RGR Sportswoman Award for triathlon. I think it was like from 2016 to 2019. You also mentioned earlier the Prime Minister Youth Award. I was also the recipient of the VMBS Youth Award. They had the first ever VMBS Youth Award in 2017, I believe. So I was the recipient of that. So that was pretty cool. And yeah, I remember like some other sports awards that I received at my high school. Where they would like acknowledge people or like athletes who have been doing pretty well. So there's that. I think those are the major ones I can recall right now.
Yeah, that was some great achievements there. What is your training regimen like? Right.
So typically it would be like a good mixture of a variety of workouts that are geared towards specific outcomes. So like, endurance rides, those are your long 4+ hour rides all over the place, just to improve your aerobic capacity. Then you'd have like your shorter, more intense rides, right? Just for better conditioning and just for your overall physical development as well. Just like get your race fit and all of that. So it's a good mixture.
You mentioned earlier about being injured. How do you handle, setbacks and disappointments?
So as I said, the injury that I sustained was back in 2019. I think like the latter part of 2019 when I just left Andrews and was starting at UE. And I think it was for maybe 6 months, and those were the worst 6 months of my life.
I can imagine.
Other than being an athlete, I'm someone who really likes being active.
Okay.
So working out is just a part of my lifestyle, and not being able to do that really just it hit me hard, But fortunately, I was able to recover from that. But sustaining an injury can have like a huge impact on you, not just physically, of course, but the mental aspect. It just wipes you out because athletes where sometimes we can be very competitive, and not being able to do what you love can really take a toll on you. And it for me.
Yeah. So this switch to cycling, it seemed to have paid off because you have been doing so well at it.
Yeah.
In such a short time. Tell us how you've been doing. Where are some of the places you have gone to compete?
All right. So the transition from triathlon to cycling, I would agree, has been pretty successful so far. And I really attribute that to like my coach and his implementation of a good structured program. So that's one. And I think, as I kind of mentioned with triathlon and the supportive environment that I had there, I still have that sort of environment with cycling. So I still have the other cyclists just encouraging me and just providing that element of support that you really need. So I think it's been pretty good so far.
Yeah. So cycling is hard work. How do you motivate yourself? Like you say, every morning to get up to do this. How do you motivate yourself to, actually start training every day?
That's a very good question. I think I'm a pretty goal-oriented person. And when I have established my goals, like I want this, I want that, I'll put in the work to get it, whether that's in athletics or academics. So even though waking up early, like 4 something in the morning, to ride in the pitch black of morning, it's not like the best thing, but I mean, it is what it is, And if you want certain results, you have to put in the work, right?
Right.
So, that's my approach to it. If you want certain results, you have to put in the work.
All right. You mentioned the men that you train with. So you're in a male-dominated field. Have you faced any challenges as a female?
No, actually. And I think since my greater involvement in the sport, even more younger female cyclists have joined on.
Okay.
So we have a few other junior girls who started. So I'm very happy about that. And I really hope that they stick with it and we can get even more female cyclists. Yeah, but as I said, the environment is very supportive. And I don't think me being a female has inhibited me in any way.
Okay. What would you say is the hardest hill to climb in Jamaica that you have experienced?
I know Spur Tree is a pretty difficult one, but there's one that I climbed in St. Elizabeth. The name slipping me right now. But it was so steep. And that was like after. Well, let me tell you, it was after a ride from Kingston to Treasure Beach in St. Elizabeth. And that was the last part of the ride. So imagine riding from Kingston, how much hours that already? Just to go up another hill. I really don't remember the name of it, but I think that was the worst one. But at least there was like a nice little descent after it. So, but yeah, that one was wicked.
All right. You mentioned University of the West Indies. How have you been able to balance studies and sports? Because sport is so demanding, it seems, on you.
Yeah, so I think I've been managing pretty well, if I'm being honest. I actually got my exam results just today, and
Okay.
I don't mean to be boastful or anything, but I got all A's.
Boast all you want, man. Boast all you want.
Yeah, so I made the dean's list again, which is.
Yes, congrats.
But I think I've been a student athlete for most of my academic athletic career since prep school. So it's just, I think it's just second nature to me now. Like I don't feel well, I'm not saying I don't feel overwhelmed, that's not lie. But I'm better able to manage both aspects of my life. So I think it's gotten easier with time. It's still hard. Trust me, it's still hard. Like having to come back home from training and still do schoolwork and then have training the next morning. I mean, it's difficult. But as I said earlier, you have to do what you have to do if you want certain results. So yeah, that's, as I said, that's my approach to it. And I want A's. I want good athletic outcomes. If I put in the work, I can have both. Okay, this contract that you have signed, what does it entail? Or it pretty much has me training, racing throughout the European continent, alongside some other pretty established cyclists. And I'm definitely looking forward to the experience I'll have there. What I really like about this team is their focus on diversity. So apart from me from the Caribbean, there's a girl from Paraguay, there's a girl from Namibia. There's a girl from Malaysia, and I think the remaining cyclists are European. I think 2 are German, and the others are from the UK. I think it's 8 of us. So I think that's a nice mixture there. Yes. So definitely looking forward to what's to come. I think it'd be very nice to not only train alongside girls, because here I'm just training with the guys all the time. So that would be a nice new environment. I'm definitely looking forward to more races and just seeing what cycling has to offer for me. You have achieved a lot so far, but what most would you like to accomplish? I mean, with any athlete or any competitive athlete, the Olympics is always on your mind. And the World Championships. So those major races, definitely would like to see how well I could perform in those in the coming years. And yeah, there are other major events like the Commonwealth Games, the Pan American Games, those other regional events. But yeah, I wouldn't say I'll maybe prioritize Olympics and the World Championships. Back in the day, in my day, David Weller was the first Jamaican to have won a medal in cycling. And I think you're going to be the next. I'm hoping that you'll be the next person to do that. So. Yes. Yeah. So any plans to return to the triathlon after the pandemic, or you're sticking to cycling? I am sticking to cycling. Honestly, even my mother says she has never seen me so passionate about sport before. Like, she thought triathlon was bad in terms of like my dedication toward it, but I think she said cycling takes the cake for this. Really? Yeah. Okay. And I would agree with her, honestly. But I think my involvement in triathlon, that brought in my parents' involvement. So actually, my father was recently appointed president for the Triathlon Association. Okay. Yes. So it's a family affair, no? Yes. So I think his involvement in that will just continue with the growth of the sport. So I'm looking forward to see what's to come with that. Well, it was great talking to you, Llori. And I just want to wish you, success and that you can get. And I'm hoping that you will be winning that Olympic medal soon too. All right. And it was great talking to you. Yeah, same here. Thanks for having me.